Hi everyone, good morning. How are you guys doing today? All right, let's get the show on the road. Okay, here's kind of my progression of the Dieline logo. Like you said, I'm the creator, founder, whatever of the Dieline. I started it about 4 years ago in my little 400 square foot studio apartment. So, is it working? Okay, so raise your hand. Who here is actually a graphic designer? Day in and day out, they're actually graphic designers. Okay, so pretty much everyone. So raise your hands if you kind of always knew somehow that you guys always wanted to be a graphic designer. You know, I feel like with a lot of graphic designers, everyone kind of just, you know, in art, in something creative, you kind of just always known, and that's how I always felt. I started on Photoshop 4. I remember I got my first computer with Photoshop 4, and there was no history palette, so you couldn't literally go back in history. You'd have to go edit, undo. Like, and you can only do it 25 times, so it was horrible. Has anyone ever worked on Photoshop 4? Okay. Wow. Okay. You win. Okay. I don't feel so old then. Okay. This was actually one of the first. This is in middle school. I don't even know why we had these computers because I'm 25. I'm not that old, but this was the first design computer I worked on. So my first design, it was for like this hamburger restaurant or something. I designed a logo for on a black and white Macintosh Classic. So that was the beginning. In high school, I was, I never really kind of fit in. I always felt like I was like, the nerd, the geek. Like, I don't know, I was just different from everyone. I kind of always knew I wanted to be a designer since I was, on Photoshop in 6th grade. So I did, everything I could to kind of make it happen even from then. I started designing the school website, and I took graphic design classes at the school. So early on in my freshman year, I kind of realized that I'd be able to graduate high school a year early. My school did block scheduling, so we took 4 classes each day, switched up. So I figured if I took 8 classes each semester, I'd be able to graduate in 3 years and I'd have enough credits. And I kind of already knew what I wanted to do, and I kind of hated high school, so I was like, let's get the show on the road. What am I waiting for? And one of the biggest things is my parents. My dad was really, really against it. He did not want me to graduate early. He was just like afraid I was gonna miss out on my high school experience and prom and I don't know, all that, whatever you do in prom, and I don't know. So I didn't do that, and I didn't really care. I wasn't all about prom. And it was my mom who gave me the best advice. And my mom's back there, so everyone say hi to my mom. She had told me that she had graduated high school 6 months early, and that the only thing she ever regretted was not graduating a full year early. So she told me that, and I was like, I'm in, I'm gonna do it. So everyone thank my mom, because if it wasn't for my mom, the Dieline might not be possible here. So that was me at my high school graduation. I was 16 when I graduated, and I look a little different, and I'm really glad my dad's not here because he would murder me. He does not look like that today. Right after high school, I started at the Art Institute. Are there any AI alumni here? Anyone? There we go. We got a couple. I went to AI in Orange County Art Institute, and I loved college. I mean, I finally felt like I was in the right place. It was the place for me. It was creative. It was fun. I was designing anything and everything I could, and I loved it. I felt like I was at home. So I took as many graphic design classes as I could, and I started taking packaging classes, and I took 4. We only had to take 1 packaging class. I think that was the only requirement, and I took up to 4. We advanced whatever, and I loved packaging. I was in it every day. One of my first projects is up there. I loved it. That's kind of where I really my teacher there really just let us do whatever we wanted with packaging, and it was so much fun. So right out of school, I graduated. There's me again. Look a little different. my fake blue contacts. It's really embarrassing. I know, it's really embarrassing. When I met my boyfriend, I was wearing my blue contacts. I went through a phase, I don't know. And when the first time he found out I didn't actually wear blue contacts, he was really upset. So he was like, what? So I graduated college when I was 19 when I graduated, and they told me at the time I was the youngest person to ever graduate at an art institute. And it wasn't because I was like smart or anything. It was just good timing. I just finished it in time, and it worked out good. So my first job out of high school, or out of college, well, high school pretty much, I worked for this gourmet gift company, and I was really lucky to find this job. This school, we did like this portfolio show, and I met them there, and like they gave me this weird like quiz thing like on the spot, and basically like interviewed me right then and there. And I got this great job, and I was a print production artist for this gourmet gift company, and we started. I got to work on all these fun projects, and I was literally designing the die lines, beautiful blue die lines every day of my life. That's all I would do. I would start with the die line, and the designers would start coming to me and say, I have this product, I need, they'd give me a sketch of it, and they'd say, I need a box, I need you to make the die lines. And I'm just like, what? Like, how? Like, so they'd give me, something like this and say, oh, make the die lines, and then I'll apply the graphics. And I'm like, oh my God, like, are you serious? And I had never, designed a die line in my life. It's not something I even learned in school. We just kind of started with the package and just put some graphics on. I, never even thought of before the graphics, The die line and the actual structure is kind of the first part. So I did, and I fell in love with it, and that's kind of really, this job is where I really, really fell in love with packaging. I remember I saw my first product in a store, and it was probably one of the most just life-changing experiences for me. It was bizarre. It was the linens and things. It was like this like cocktail like summer gift set thing. I think my mom still has one. I remember just walking into the store, and as soon as I walked in and I saw it, and I was like, holy crap, like I designed that. I mean, it was just the weirdest, the most surreal feeling knowing that, 6 months ago I was designing this on my computer, and here it is in a store, and people are buying it and bringing it into their homes. And that's kind of the thing about packaging that is so different in graphic design than anything else. Is packaging is really the most tangible aspect of graphic design. It's literally the only form of graphic design where somebody can go into a store and see your product and hold it and feel it and buy it and fall in love with it and take it into their home and use it and throw it away or keep it. It's pretty powerful when you think about it. So I got hooked on packaging, and that's kind of how the die line started. This is the very first design of the die line, so that's what it looked like back in the day. I started my search for a packaging website. I was doing so much packaging at this job. We would start a week and we'd have to do 25 products in 1 week from scratch with all new graphics, all new structure, everything. It was crazy. So I started looking for a site. I'm like, okay, there has to be something out there where I can see like, what's going on, what's the cool designs, what's the cool trends. And there was literally nothing. I was very surprised. So I told my boyfriend in one random weekend, I was like, I'm going to start a package design blog today. Like, I'm going to do it. And he's just like, okay, like, go for it, I think he like went out that night and he came back and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, here's the die line, And he's like, all right. And, and it was cool. And it was just a fun little side project I did. I was totally embarrassed. And so that's how the die line started. It was so like, it was fun. And when it first started, there was no content. There was no like, other than Googling some pictures, it was so hard to get content at first. It was literally me going into Target with my camera, hiding it and taking pictures and trying not to get caught from security. And I would literally do that all the time. That's how I got most of the content. If you actually look back in the archives, you'll see literally just pictures of me taking pictures at Target of cool stuff. And then I'd track down the design firm behind it. And it was weird because I would contact these design firms, and a lot of them would just be like, well, why do you even want to show our work? Like, it was never done before, so they didn't even understand, Some design firms and companies were like, well, no. They told me no, and they didn't get it. They didn't get why. Nothing in the package design community was ever shared. People, you wouldn't see a package until it was on the shelf, And then it was on the shelf, you have no idea who designed it. Packaging was like this like secret, And the die line was kind of the first thing to really open it up and make it really, public and visible, and that's how it kind of took off. My next job was at a nail company, an artificial nail company, And these are some of the products. I wasn't even allowed to design the front labels. So I was a senior designer, but it was really like this glorified production job. And I was literally designing the back of the box where it's the warnings for the like artificial nail glue. And I had to do it in like 5-point type in 4 different languages. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did every day. And I was like, oh my God, like this is, it's a lot of fun, And so we really, the designers, we was an in-house design team, there were 4 of us, and we did a lot of products. And the time came where they realized, hey, we kind of need to relaunch our brand. It's not, it's not effective. They were kind of starting to lose some market share. So instead of having the designers, take a crack at it, they ended up hiring this outside advertising, branding design firm. And so we were all really mad and angry, of course. And the crazy thing is that the company that they hired ended up being Sterling Brands. And this is the design that Debbie Millman came up with. And if you don't know Debbie Millman, she's the president of AIGA, like design queen of the world, is what I call her. And while the time that they were designing this, when we were really angry because we couldn't design it and they were just an outside agency, she was reading the Dieline because she was a huge fan of the Dieline and ended up contacting me afterwards. I didn't even know when I worked there. She was reading the Dieline while she was designing this, and it's just the weirdest thing. Debbie Millman was reading my site while I was working in this company that she was redesigning because they wouldn't let us do it. It was just this weird, circle, and I had no idea. I didn't figure this out until like months after I had already like left the job because I think I only lasted there like 5 months. It was fun. So, Debbie today is one of my, I consider a very good friend. She's been one of the biggest advocates for the Dieline ever. She's always made sure it's, the Dieline stays pure and stays to what it is, and she was my second advertiser, so thank you to Debbie for everything she's done to the Dieline. My next job was at this beverage development company. It was, literally my dream job. Like this was the job, I wanted, forever. I was a creative director, and we were designing beverage brands day in and day out. So, I was in charge of the creative department. I had total creative freedom, do whatever I want. I was working directly with clients. Some into small companies, individual people trying to, build a company for themselves, some bigger brands, and it was so much fun. This was literally, my dream job. So this is one of the funnest projects I worked on, and it's like I think it's in some 7-Elevens now too, which is kind of cool. So if you see it, buy it. Let me go back. So that basically happened, and while I was working there is when the book came along. The Dieline, during that time, the Dieline was really experiencing this huge amount of growth. And I went to Barnes & Noble one day for researching packaging for the Dieline, and I was looking at all the packaging books, and I was like, gosh, the Dieline has such amazing packaging on the site, and I was looking at all these books, and they're not bad. It's just the work on the Dieline is just better, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't describe it, so I figured I can make a really cool package design book. I want to do the best of the Dieline. So I got in contact with Armin of Under Consideration, brand new, speak up. I'm sure, anyone here read Armin's like 5 blogs he has? Yeah, he does a lot. He got me in contact with House, so I sent her an email the next day, his editor, and I was like, I have this crazy idea. I want to do a book and the packaging, and I was terrified. So she emailed me back, and she was like, the next day, and I was totally surprised. She said, I love the Dieline. I read it every day. I bookmark it. Let's do this. I was just like, holy crap, I'm going to do a book. Like, I don't know. It was just the weirdest thing for me. So we did a book. When I was at this beverage company, I was working the company full time. I was writing the book pretty much full time, and I was writing the Dieline full time. And I don't know how I'm still alive. Let's see. So it got to the point where. Well, there we go. It got to the point where I had to make a choice. I had to decide either between the Dieline or my dream job. I was literally at the end. I couldn't continue both for any longer. The Dieline was just growing and growing and growing, and my career was growing and growing and growing, and I couldn't handle both at once. So I had to choose. So I decided to go with the Dieline. So thankfully, the Dieline's still around. And my boss, I remember I was so scared to give him my notice and to quit because I loved my job, and my boss was the coolest guy. He actually helped me negotiate my book contract, and he just like always supported me in anything I did. And I remember I gave him my notice, and he's like, you know what, Andrew, I'm really surprised. And I was like, oh my God, like crap, like I felt like I let him down. He's like, I'm surprised that you stayed here this long. I thought you were gonna quit like 6 months, a year ago. And so I was like, wow, and today now he's my business manager. He helps me grow the future of the site. And, I guess my moral of the story is with Debbie and with my old boss is that, you never really know who you're going to meet along the way. The design community, it's really small. It may seem big, but it's really not. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, it's tiny. And so your coworkers that you're working with now, or a vendor you're working with, or anybody, you never know. They could be your next employer or friend or boss. You literally never know. Somebody in this room could be your next boss, could hire you. You could go in partnership on a business with. You never know. So, my best advice to any designer is just always do your best work at all times. Always make a good impression for yourself. Just be the best self that you can be, because you never know. So today the Dieline is me and my partner Ivan here. So it's the two of us running the show. We do the website. We launched the Dieline wine. We're doing the second annual Dieline Awards, which entries are open if anyone wants to enter their work. We're doing our first annual conference in Chicago. We partnered with House, so we're putting on the Dieline Package Design Conference in Chicago this June. And what else do we do? Book, and I think that's about it, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. That's some of the things we do. It's the most embarrassing picture I could find, so I'm sorry. And that's about it. So, if anyone has any questions, shoot. Okay.
When you first released the book, obviously, it wasn't in the long-term plan originally.
Yeah.
Did you have to go back and get some sort of artist releases?
Oh my God, the book was putting a book out of packaging is so much work. It was more work for the permissions of each image. Literally for every single image in the book, I had to have a form filled out for every single image in the book of the copyright holder giving approval. So once I figured out what I was going to put in the book, that was the easy part, and it was getting all these copyright forms from all over the world, which was the hardest. So, all of that took the most time. Yeah. So. Back there.
Today, what type of packaging catches your eye? Where do you see big improvements, advancements?
I think kind of the sustainability aspect, a lot of the really innovative packaging that's coming out is there's always, either it's packaged so it's smaller or it's more, environmentally friendly. So I think that's kind of the next generation, that everything is going to be either like the new method laundry detergent that came out, it's super concentrated, so it's better for the environment. And I think that's the next one.
Does most of your stuff nowadays, are you just inundated with emails every day, people sending you?
Yeah, now today I don't have to go to Target and take pictures. I still do. Sometimes when I'm at the store, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. I'll figure it out, who it is. But most of the time now it's all submissions. I get submissions from all the big design firms, and they send in their work, before it comes out. And so that's kind of the work you see on the Dieline is all, submissions from the design firms.
Do you miss doing your own work,
Oh my God.
buying some packaging on the side?
It was literally the hardest decision I had to make in my life was to quit my job, because I loved what I did. And I tried to do freelance projects and stuff, and I can't anymore. And I miss it so much. So I'm always trying to do design work wherever I can. And thankfully through the site, I get a ton of stuff to do, designing the site and just all the stuff that goes along with it. And I'm always designing my friends' logos and these two. So I love doing little side projects like that. It's fun. It keeps me creative. I have to. At the end of the day, I have the Dieline, but I'm still a designer at heart. So I always need to keep going and keep going.
Hey, when you first had your business with the Dieline,
Uh-huh.
did you experience anything like Sal, what you were doing with the successful?
Oh yeah. Of course. I doubted myself. Of course. There were a lot of people that think that it's just a blog, it's never gonna pick up, and I honestly never thought it would. I didn't go in for it as a business or career. I just started as a hobby, as a blog. I never started to make any money or anything, and it just happened. It was readers like you guys who shared it. I've never spent $1 in advertising ever. It's always just been other designers who found it and shared it with their friends, and them sharing it with their friends, and it's all just been an organic growth. So there were doubts in the beginning, and I still I doubted myself. I didn't think it I never thought it'd be what it is today. It's crazy for me to even be up here talking to everyone. It's the weirdest thing for me. I feel like I should be sitting down here and listening to somebody else speak. So.
At what point was it
I mean, the pivotal point for me was probably about a year ago. I mean, our traffic was, right now we're getting almost like 3 million hits a month. It's crazy. So we were getting about 2 million hits a month then, and that was the time. I mean, our advertising network was solid, and we were starting to do these new projects, and we wanted to do a conference and this and that, and that was the pivotal point where I just had to pick one or the other. Yeah. Thank you.
What websites do you look at daily?
Oh my God, I look at so many. All of Armin's websites. Brand New is probably like my #1 favorite blog, other than the Dieline, of course. I love Brand New. I love the work he's done on there. His new one, FPO, I love. Tina Swiss Miss, I read every day. I mean, basically all the design blogs. I mean, as a designer, you should be reading blogs every day, and read the Dieline too. But I mean, it's so good to keep involved in the community and see just what's going on and be inspired and be creative. So I mean, I recommend, don't tell your bosses, but spend your first hour every day just browsing blogs and websites and get inspired, because that's what I did every day when I was a designer. I mean, you have to be inspired, and you need to find that inspiration every day. So anyone else? Is that it? So I have one last slide, which is the weirdest thing. This is like probably the first project I ever did at art school, and it was a drawing project. We had to use our like a monogram of your first initial, and you had to use perspective or something. It was a weird, cheesy project, but I was going through all my old work when I found it, and it was the weirdest thing for me. And it says, it's totally cheesy, I know, it's really embarrassing. It says, Andrew Gibbs is my name. I'm a designer, an innovator, and a creator. I'm highly motivated towards my future. My dream is to be able to inspire others to design and create and build a future for themselves. And it's just, I don't know, it's weird because, yeah, I read that and I didn't even know I wrote it, and I was like, oh my God, I did it, I don't know, it was weird. And that's kind of my advice for anyone. If you guys have an idea for something, a website, anything, if you think you can do something better than someone else does it, don't wait around until somebody else does it, because somebody else will, If you have an idea, do it, and do it now, and you'll figure it out. If you don't know how, figure it out. I mean, you can. I started the Dieline. I had no idea how to design a blog or anything. I mean, you figure it out along the way as you go. So that's my advice. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you.